The rest of our War Whores updates, intel, porn, and weapon ads, those were the weapon ads. Again, we've now been reporting this story, and it only grows and grows throughout the years. Who is a big winner in a bad economy? Military recruiters, because you have massive growing swarms of desperate people whose communities have all been destroyed by design on some level. Nothing else. Unfortunately, as we've seen, you may think you're going to get all this great stuff. Oh, they'll pay for college, they'll do this, they'll do that. But what if they don't? What if it doesn't go that way? I suppose it gets worse as each passing headline. Obama prepares largest arms sale ever, selling $60 billion in arms to our good friends at Saudi Arabia. You know, the folks who were involved in those, I forget if it's 18 or 80-something pages of the aforementioned 9/11 Commission report that were blacked out and no one was ever allowed to see. Selling $60 billion in arms to Saudi Arabia is a win-win deal, according to the Obama administration. The weapons deal, the largest weapons deal ever by the U.S., would create more than 70,000 jobs for the stumbling U.S. economy, and it would strengthen ties with a key American ally and possibly other Arab countries, while trying to shore up U.S. policy against Iran in the Persian Gulf. Some Israelis, however, are concerned that those weapons could be turned in another direction. Everybody wants their cut from Team America, because that's the only thing we make. That's our only growth industry. Prisons and military weapons. Was that sustainable, to use a hackneyed word? So the U.S.-Saudi deal moving ahead. More on that from the Wall Street Journal, corporate-controlled media outlets. U.S. attacks in Pakistan reach record levels. Surprise, surprise. And let's get this from McClatchy, one of the better news services, not nearly as bastardly as the Associated Press or Reuters. End of combat mission? Question mark. That's a rhetorical question mark. U.S. Iraqi raid in Fallujah kills 6. U.S. and Iraqi forces raided a neighborhood in the longtime Sunni Muslim insurgent stronghold of Fallujah on Wednesday, killing at least 6 people in the deadliest joint operation since Barry Soetoro announced the end of the American combat mission in Iraq 2 weeks ago. Mission accomplished. Awesome. Such good work. So much change. I'm so excited. I'm so glad everybody got wrapped up in the Mad Men Madison Avenue marketing hysteria of the Obama-Messiah. We love our little soap operas that we can get into and that we can rabble about. But of course, we had the election, and then just a few weeks later, those same people who acted like they gave a shit about what was going on, they were just as excited about the Super Bowl. Do you get it? And I don't want to be a bastard. I don't always bitch about people. And I don't think I do. That's not what I'm about. At least not on this show. But let's keep the war whores going. And as we've told you from day one, and we can even get it from well-sourced documentations from folks like Alfred McCoy, Politics of Heroin. Drugs fund wars, fund Wall Street, fund our destruction. UK and Canadian troops investigated over heroin trafficking claims. Military running heroin smuggling operation.
A British newspaper is reporting claims that British and Canadian soldiers are running a heroin smuggling operation out of Afghanistan using military planes. According to an article in the Sunday Times, a network of British soldiers based at Camp Bastion and Canadian soldiers based at Kandahar Airport are alleged to be organizing the smuggling. A British defense spokeswoman has issued a statement saying, "We are aware of these allegations. Although they are unsubstantiated, we take any such reports very seriously." The CBC has contacted Canada's Department of Defense. It would neither confirm nor deny that an investigation has been launched.
Now, we go over this as our top story on the latest episode of NewWorldNextWeek.com. And we get this as well as what we love and what we need and what is fundamental to all of these things that we're doing. Here's a little bit of context. So let's go to Cryptagon.com, where his guess is that this story coming out is maybe due to, some upstarts, some new guys who maybe aren't as slick, haven't figured it all out yet. But some of the other things to keep in mind, little flashback links for you. Planned British covert operation included training in farming and irrigation techniques for Taliban fighters. But for the real state-sponsored narco-trafficking program, tons, not a kilo here, kilo there, look at things like the U.S.-built heroin bridge and Blackwater's quote-unquote aviation support activities in Africa. And if you want to go back to the Vietnam War, again, kicked off large scale by a made-up event, the Gulf of Tonkin, all wars based on deception, lies. Heroin smuggled in body bags of dead GIs. But we'll take it from The Guardian. Military police investigating claims that British soldiers have been involved in heroin trafficking in Afghanistan. The MOD said it was aware of unsubstantiated claims that troops were buying the drug from dealers and shipping it out of the country in military aircraft. An inquiry is focusing on British and Canadian personnel at airports in Camp Bastion and Kandahar. Security is, of course, now tightened with additional sniffer dogs being used. Need we remind you, Afghanistan is the source of 90% of the world's opium, which connects back to Royal Dutch Shell and the drug running and the families and the foundation-funded fronts and Skull and Bones and all our good friends. Oh, but the CBC has an update for us. Canada's military won't probe heroin allegations. But there's a great bit on wanttoknow.info on the story from Vietnam of soldiers putting drugs in the body bags, shipping them back home to mama. Some drug bosses in Afghanistan have been implicated in this trade, and that's how they roll. That's how it goes. Let's get a couple related drug war updates from BrisbaneTimes.com.au. Government's anti-drugs campaign has a worrying link to Scientology. Concerns have been raised about a partnership between the federal Australian government and a drug awareness group run by members of the controversial Church of Scientology. U.S. agents were in a firefight with a Mexican gang. More on that from our own ABC News. Cross-border exchanges of fire. It's escalating more and more and more. And we're unfortunately, again, looking like a tinderbox, powder keg. Something's waiting. Something's looking for a spark. Some catalyzing catastrophic event. But let's end with a good note on drug wars. As we now kick over to our serious smokers music bed, interestingly enough. Hemp stalk kicked off in Portland last week. And again, that was one of the things, speaking of our successful 9/11 Commission book burn last week on youtube.com/Media Monarchy. Sending out the press release, I kind of knew that with all the other events going on in Portland and with the hysteria that the media would have a hard time staying away, especially since we sent them a press release saying we're going to be doing this provocative thing. But we had the Hemp Stalk Festival, not about drugs. It's about, of course, all the amazing things that the hemp plant can do, like we can eat it and use it and write on it and power cars and make clothes, almost as if it were left here by some kind of amazing god or something for us to use and learn and share and grow from. But no, it's evil, illegal, dirty, dirty weed. So, now I just kind of feel dirty. We started off the show with music from Of Montreal, brand new music from them, their record False Priest. We heard Enemy Gene with Janelle Monáe. But last night, I had the pleasure of going out to a place here in Portland called Jimmy Mac's and seeing jazz legend Les McCann. Seats were great. Venue was beautiful. Nice night. Interestingly enough, my girlfriend actually knows him. They share a birthday, and they go back many, many years back to D.C. and Blues Alley back in those days. So got to see Les McCann and got to meet him and talk with him for a little bit after the show. So appropriately enough, my friends, and this is the quote that we started our show off with, nobody gives us rhyme or reason. Have one doubt, they call it treason. Let's take a nice, long jazz break with Les McCann, with a song, of course, that made him famous, Trying to Make It Real, compared to what?